I'm not sure whether 30-year-old Ross Chapman is the unluckiest man in the world or the luckiest. Probably both. He was alone in his boat, fishing off the West Australian continental shelf, far out of sight of land, when the unthinkable happened. He fell overboard into shark-infested waters. Fear turned to panic when he tried but failed to swim back to his boat, and he watched what he thought was his only hope for survival motor off over the horizon. No one knew Ross was in trouble, let alone where he was. But an incredible series of chance events led to an unlikely and remarkable rescue. In remote northwest Australia, the outback meets the Ningaloo Reef, one of our last untouched marine wildernesses.
When I'm out there by myself, that's your part of the world for that moment.
But it's out in the ocean beyond that Ross Chapman feels most alive. A lot of people would think it's kind of crazy, a young fella like yourself, going way out into the deep blue sea with a tiny boat chasing big fish. What's the attraction?
Adrenaline rush.
Yeah?
Yep, getting out there in a small boat, doing what the big boys do. And with that chance of catching that dream fish, doesn't get much better than that.
Ross's incredible story of survival begins in 600 metres of water, more than 40 kilometres into the Indian Ocean.
Maybe I'm foolish, maybe I'm blind.
Heading out in his little boat, the Papa George, named after his great-grandfather who shared his passion for the sea. His prize, the elusive blue marlin.
Some people got the real problems, some people out of love.
Not everyone thinks there's much sport in reeling in these striking creatures.
I'm only human.
But Ross likes to even the odds by going solo.
That was cool.
It's fishing as extreme as it gets.
Yeah, boy. I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all. Don't put your blame
Have people warned you in the past about going into the ocean by yourself in your boat?
Oh yeah, heaps. Yeah, I knew what I was doing. You know, I knew the risks. I just, plain and simple, I just didn't think it would happen to me, you know?
It was the 3rd of January, the last day of his holiday, and Ross was out to catch his dream fish. At 8 o'clock in the morning, he did.
Solo marlin on popper. Oh, she was a good fish. She was a solid one.
So you're pretty happy at this stage?
Yeah, man, I was hooting. That's how we do it.
Ross used a GoPro to film the marlin as he let it go. As the fish swam off, he laid the camera on the back edge of the boat.
I was just so happy. I was just like, yeah, boy. That's how it goes down. And then I went to grab the GoPro and I knocked it off the back of the boat. I'm going bounce, bounce, and I just like kind of lurched over the back to try and grab it just before it went over. Yeah, I've just ended up straight in the water.
The Papa George is still in gear and motoring away. So when you finally bob up again, where's your boat?
Probably 5 metres in front of me.
Out of reach. There's no way of stopping it. Are you wearing a life jacket?
No.
What are you wearing?
Board shorts.
Have you got a top?
No.
So you've got bare feet, broad shorts, and you're open to the elements. You got no water.
No.
And you're watching your boat disappearing in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can imagine your heart was in your mouth.
Yeah. It wasn't a good feeling, I tell you, man. Like, is this it? Because at that point of time, you know you're in a major problem.
Now the fishing line is Ross's only hope. He grabs it. A kilometre of line starts unspooling from the reel.
How long do you hold on to the line for?
I'm thinking it must have been half an hour to 45 minutes. That was quite scary, you know, because I was getting towed along and I was looking out the back behind me.
You're worried about sharks?
Yeah, it was pretty much just a huge live bait. And it wasn't good.
There possibly are people who are sitting here watching this thinking, well, he's got his just desserts at this stage. He's been pulling in these big fish all these years and now he knows what it's like to be on the receiving end.
Yeah.
The irony's not lost on
right.
you.
Yeah, but a payback. The shoe was on the other foot.
Ross begins hauling his way up the line. His weight makes the boat turn. Eventually, it loops around and starts heading back towards him. He goes for it.
So you've done a freestyle sprint, basically,
I
for your
have,
boat.
yeah.
And how close did you get?
About 1.5 meters. And I managed to swim back and grab the line again. But I was only probably 15 metres off the back of the boat at that stage. And then when that line snapped, I was just like, oh my God.
What'd you do?
I just actually just sat there and I just watched my boat do circles off to sea.
Ross is on his own, a speck in the ocean, the current dragging him towards 2 nearby oil platforms teeming with sharks.
I was like, I just got to stay away from those at all cost. I've been there, fished around them, and there's just thousands of sharks there. Literally, thousands of sharks.
So your concern is that even if you got to the oil rig,
I don't think it would.
Swimming against the current, Ross is growing increasingly tired. His only hope is staying in an area where he hopes a passing boat might just happen to spot him.
I started peeking myself out because I started looking around, shadows in the water. You know, it all was like coming over me pretty bad then. So I just said, I need to keep swimming. I need to keep busy. So I said to Papa George upstairs.
this is your dead maternal grandfather.
Yep. I said, you're gonna have to have my back. Keep these sharks off me, and I'm gonna continue going forward and try and get myself out of this.
Coming up, as Ross fights for his life, a local fisherman makes a startling discovery.
You know that your mate's in the water.
The courageous rescue effort
Was it just pure blind luck?
and a serendipitous turn of events.
What are the odds?
It's pretty much a miracle, really.
That's next on 60 Minutes.